If you want to finally start losing weight without the yo-yo dieting, without the jumping up and down, this video is going to be impactful for you because I spent the last 15 years of my life fat. I started gaining weight when I was a fat kid. And then as a teenager, I slimmed down. And then around 19, 20, I started slowly gaining weight, got into the chubby phase. And then by the time I got married, I was 211 pounds. Shortly after that, my wife and we saw a documentary, Forks Over Knives. We went vegan. I lost a ton of weight, got down to like 180, 185 pounds, somewhere in there. Um, Started feeling just super tired all the time, had a B12 issue, and I decided ultimately that if you have to supplement so hard for something in your diet because you just can't get it through the food, well, then it's probably not the right route to go. So then I ended up losing everything, just, losing track of what I was doing, gained all my weight back and some. And as I started seeing the scale inching closer to the 220, 225 range, I thought something's got to change here. So I went keto and I lost a ton of weight on keto. I got really, really thin, not as thin as I did when I went vegan, but I had more muscle mass on me because just more protein. I didn't lose all that. I didn't kill my metabolism. But then I developed an allergy to almonds, and my diet was severely based on almond flour. Like I had made that a staple of my diet. I didn't know what to do. Like that's how I was getting my crunch satisfaction of carbs, etc., was through almond flour. And I started throwing up when I would eat anything with almonds. And so sure enough, I ended up having to stop that. Flash forward, another year. And now not only did I gain my weight back, but I gained back even more, got up to 237 pounds. And that's where I found myself in April 2025 of this year. And I just had to analyze and say, why? Like, do I have bad genetics? Is it, me? Is it just lack of knowledge? What is it? So I started just doing a ton of research, and I've made videos on this. So I'm not going to go through all the research that I've done. But what I ultimately found was that I needed to get myself into a caloric deficit. And anyone who's struggling like you find yourself, you're like, I'm fat right now. Why is that? It is because thermodynamics is real. Thermodynamics is basically a law. You cannot change it. And one of the laws of thermodynamics is that energy doesn't just disappear. It can be transformed, but it doesn't disappear. So when I eat food, that energy, those calories, which is basically energy, they're either going to get used or they're going to get stored. There's no magic tricks. They don't disappear. And so if I am getting fatter, that means that I am consuming more energy than my body is putting out there. Now, people will go on crash diets. They will do these things where fads. They will do shakes. They will do smoothies. They will do everything that they can possibly think of to try to lose weight. But at the core, every single one of them that works, it's because it put you in a caloric deficit. They just do it in a different way. So it doesn't matter how you spin it, it's because of a caloric deficit. So at the end of the day, if you want to lose weight and keep it off, because I am determined and I am confident that I will be able to maintain this unless I go into such a deep, dark hole of depression in life that something occurs that sends me off course. Now that I know what I know in knowledge, then I've acquired the knowledge that I've acquired. It is just math. Because all of these diets, they put you in a caloric deficit. They do it in a different way. So you have to ask yourself, am I in a caloric because you don't always need to be in a caloric deficit. Like once you get to your goal weight, you could just be at maintenance. What does that mean? Well, if you are burning, it's called your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure. If you eat exactly what you burn, you won't gain weight. And you can figure out what that is. You can go online through AI, Chat GPT, you can get close and then you just track it and you eat at the level of what they say is maintenance for a while. If you see it going up, then maybe my maintenance is actually a little lower, and you play with that over the weeks and you can figure out what your maintenance is. My maintenance right now is roughly around 2,800 calories. Is if I just ate 2,800 calories a day, I wouldn't lose weight, I wouldn't gain weight. Now, I want to be a little conservative, so I've just made it easier for myself. I say 2,500 calories. Now, that's not how many calories I'm eating because I'm in a deficit. I still have a little bit of fat that I want to lose. I want to get down. The average American man is going to be around the 20, who is healthy is going to be between 20 and 25%. Right now, I'm sitting at 19% body fat. I would love to get down to 13%. And so 13, 15, somewhere in there, I'd be satisfied. So I still got more fat to lose. So all I do is I have a little daily deficit of about 500 calories a day, and that's what I hit. But no matter what, thermodynamics is the thing. If you're like, how do I do find something that's sustainable? Now, you could say, well, Ross, yeah, but you went on a trizepatide for a few months. That's true. I'm very open about that. And it was great. It rewired my brain, helped me with insulin sensitivity. It gave me some quick wins. And that gave me the confidence to be able to realize, like, oh, I could lose weight. I do have the ability. I am not identified by fat. And it also helped me form a transactional relationship with food because it essentially cuts off your dopamine receptors and your appetite suppression. Now, the problem, or it gives you appetite suppression. Now, the problem with it is that it can suppress your appetite so much that it's hard to eat enough calories. And that's ultimately why I went off of it because I was like, I don't want to lose muscle mass. And so I went off of it. Not saying that I think it's good. People should stay on it if depending on where they're at. But I was already at a point where I'm like, okay, I can do this, the rest of this on my own. I don't need this anymore. And so before I went off of it, I had already formed a transactional relationship with food. I rewired my brain, dopamine detox, completely changed all my life habits, was working out 5 times a week. And you know what? I was so scared because I saw online, oh, when you go off of it, food noise comes back. You get this anxiety, you get cravings. You just want to eat, and your body comes back to haunt you. I experienced none of that. And the reason for that is because I was forcing myself to eat at a higher level of calories than what most people do because I didn't want to destroy my metabolism. I was working out resistance training every single day. I didn't want to lose muscle mass the way so many people do. And so by the time that I got off of it, what happens is let's say that you get on it and you're on 5 milligrams a week. Uh, you will eventually have all your hunger and food noise and everything come back at 5 milligrams. So what your doctors do is they just keep titrating you up to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And every time you do that, you blunt it a little bit more. I got to a point though with mine, and I never got to the 10, 12. I stayed on a fairly low dose compared to many. Um, I got it to where I had adapted. I already had the food noise of what they would say. It wasn't the same as most people because I was eating during the entire thing, but I was managing my hunger, you could say, and I went off of it. Now, if I went from being completely suppressed to going off of it, that might have been a different story, but I had already allowed myself to get adapted to it. So, anyways, my point is it was great for me. And now when I say I have a transactional relationship with food, doesn't mean I don't enjoy food. I enjoy food very much, but it means that I look at food and I say, like for instance, I used to I might have said this before in a video, but I every morning I go to Quick Trip and get a coffee. I walk to Quick Trip. It's like half a mile down the road. So I walk half a mile there, grab my coffee, walk back. I do that on a fast and it's great. It's a black coffee. I either get a black coffee or a black cold brew and I drink it. Well, I used to go get the sugary coffee drinks, but as I would walk in, there would be the donut rack at Quick Trip. And it used to be like dopamine calling me out now. Now I can literally walk out there and I can say to myself, how much protein for the calories? There's nothing hardly in this thing. If I eat that, I'm going to absorb, a third of my calories for the day on a donut. It's just not worth it. I like eating too much and I avoid it and I go get it. So I've got this transactional relationship. It's just all comes down to math now. So the point is that if you want to find something that's sustainable, that you feel confident, and who I've never in my life, I've been on diets, I've never felt so confident to be like, oh, I could do this forever. And the reason why I feel that way is because there's nothing that is off the table. I don't drink alcohol. I haven't had any alcohol since April 7th. But that's for different reasons. Acid reflux, not sleeping good. Like it just does nothing for me anymore. But let's say that I was the kind of person where it's like, I just can't give up my glass of wine or I just don't want to give up my bourbon. Okay, don't. You don't have to. I really, really like to have whatever it can be. Nothing's off the table. When you tell yourself, I can have anything I want as long as it fits within these macros, it's almost like now your brain is like, okay, but do I actually want it? does it actually fit in with what I'm trying to do right now with my goals? And it changes things. So that's why I feel so confident in this, because I don't feel like I'm sacrificing anything. I don't feel at all depleted. I don't feel like and I'm on any form of a diet. I just feel like I've just changed the way I eat. And part of it just comes down to understanding. So I'll give you this example. Having knowledge is something everyone should acquire, and it's cheap, it's free. In fact, anyone who has access to ChatGPT has all the knowledge they could ever need. Just make sure you keep asking it for its sources and you actually read the study material, because it can hallucinate and give you bad information. And you want it to look at things with a critical view. But it is good. Like, I sit there all night long asking, learning about different functions of the mitochondria and insulin and our fat cells and growth hormone and just every little thing I have learned. My brain, I feel like I got a PhD now, but it's from ChatGPT. So, anyways, with that said, knowledge is power. If you were to walk through a movie theater and you see on the floor candy on the floor, would you pick it up and eat it? No. Or popcorn? No. You'd be like, that's disgusting. It's been on someone's shoes. People have stepped on it. Who knows? The floors are sticky. Like, you would never do that because you have knowledge that how germs work, and that's how that is. And it's the same way when you have knowledge of how your body works and how food relates to your body, it becomes very easy for you to not do certain things. Here's another example. I after a workout, because usually when I go into a workout, I don't do it with a heavy stomach. I do it with some carbs just to get myself some energy. I'll go work out and then I'll do a refeed meal after. I used to absolutely love breaking my workout, my post-workout meal by going to Chipotle, getting some steak and rice and beans. And it was good. It was carbs, protein, all this in my mind. I did not know at the time that when you eat any fatty meats, anything that has fat in it, it sits in your stomach longer. And the problem with that is it doesn't get absorbed into your bloodstream until it gets to your small intestine. Not a lot of it won't. And so if you're thinking about a recovery meal, you're thinking to yourself, I need to get protein and carbs to my muscles as quick as I can so we can start rebuilding. Now, I can't even bring myself when I go to Chipotle or any of these places to get the steak, even though I love it. I'll do it at night, but I can't do it right after my meal because I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, no, I don't want to have it sitting there. It's not even a question. So I'll get the chicken or shrimp or something that's lean that has very minimal fats in it. So that way I can start recovering. The point is knowledge is power. You have to learn all these little things, and it's going to take time to develop them. But as you do and you go deep on it and you become obsessed with the knowledge, you can just start getting healthy. So you don't need to go on a diet. If someone's saying, how can I lose weight? Don't go on a diet. Change your life. Because a diet, and when I think of a diet, I think of, I'm going to do something temporarily. And that's why they don't work. Because eventually, if you go back to your old way of eating, you're going to go back to how you used to look. You're going to go back to being fat. You're going to be going back to having to get on blood pressure medicine and all these things. I know a lot of people online, they lose their weight for just for the aesthetics. I'm a married man with 3 kids. I don't care how as far as the aesthetic goes. Yes, I want to look good for my family, for my wife. You feel good about yourself, but I'm not doing it for the same reason that some people to try to have people attracted to them. I don't care about that, but I do care about living a long time because I've got children. I want to be able to see them grow up. I want to be able to not be on medications. Now, I want to bring up a point because some people are going to keep going back to the GLP, the GLP. There are people who do it wrong. You can use something as a tool or you can use something as a crutch. I used it as a tool. But here's something to think about. If you're in a spot where you're overweight, you don't know how to just change your life because you don't want to go on a diet, you want to use something as a tool. I want to give you a couple thought processes that I went through. One, people will use this excuse with a GLP medication because you only need to do it for a few months to rewire your brain and then you can go off of it. It's not something you need to do forever. In fact, I know that studies show people gain it back. That's because most people don't do it the way I did it. But here's a couple things to think about. Let's say that you're giving birth. You might be a man, so it's impossible. But if let's say you're a woman giving birth and you decide you want to do an epidural, does that make your birth less honorable? No, it means that you were smart. You wanted to take advantage of technology that would make your birthing experience more enjoyable. That's just the reality of it. in my opinion, using technology is smart. So if you can use this technology, and it's not going anywhere. In fact, there's a few things that are come down the pipe that are way better than Zepbound, tirzepatides. I don't recommend Ozempic to anyone. I think that's the dumbest thing that anyone could ever take is the semaglutide. That's for different reasons. But if you're going into this with the right mindset, I'm using this to rewire my brain, change my life, fix my habits, it's going to work out for you because it's going to give you quick wins. It's going to help you to start forming that transactional relationship with food right out of the gate. Now, you could say, yeah, but we don't know the long term effects of these medications. That's true. But you know what we do know the long term effects of? Obesity. We know. And actually, this is ultimately what helped me weigh the risk and reward. If you looked at anybody who is on any one of these GLP medications, for instance, Zepbound, that's the one that I ended up taking. If you look at people who were on them, you didn't have people dying from them. Now, there's been like one or two deaths that have occurred out there, and these were people with underlying organ issues, things that were going on. Now, there's never been anyone that they've been able to see in human studies that had cancer C cells in the thyroid. They found some of the mice had C cells that were enlarged in their thyroids. But if you don't, that's why they say if you have thyroid cancer or something like that, don't take it. Obviously, you're going to go talk to your doctor about any of these anyways. So I looked at that saying, okay, I'm good there. I'm good there. I'm good there. I'm not going to be on this thing for a long time. But if you compare the risks of obesity long term to the risks of taking Zepbound short term, it's a no brainer. I was about to have to go on blood pressure medications. I was about to have to go on all these different things because my stats were horrible. It was awful. And so I feel like people use this as an excuse. Maybe, I don't know if they just don't want to try to figure out how to do it. They're scared of the injection. They just haven't educated themselves enough on it. But the reality is it does two things. It satiates you, so it makes you feel full longer. And it also slows down your gastric emptying, which is going to help with that feeling full longer. And then it helps you with your insulin resistance and it helps you with your dopamine receptors and things such as this. So it's a really, really good tool to get yourself started on something. It allows you to not have that angry feeling, when you first start any new way of life or you're in a deficit or you're changing because your body is going to uh, react, as you're trying to change things. It allows you to not do that. It allows you to just focus on the task at hand. I got to eat the right amount of calories. I got to eat the right macros that I want, get enough protein, these things, and then nothing else is off the table. It really is a beneficial tool that way. So if you're thinking of, if you're like, well, it's you're just taking a jab. That's true if you're not changing your life. Otherwise, no, you're not just taking a jab. You know what the medications won't do? They won't go to the gym and lift weights for you. Like I'm lifting weights 5 times a week right now, sometimes more. They won't help you build your arms. They won't help you build up your chest. And muscle is the best insurance to getting fat because it increases your metabolism. The more muscle you have, the more calories you're going to burn just resting. Your TDEE, your basal metabolic rate, all these things, everything goes up the more muscle that you have. So, anyways, if you're wanting to get on something where you can lose weight and you can maintain it long term, the trick is going to be learn about thermodynamics, educate yourself, realize it is all calories in, calories out, and that now all you have to do is figure out what macros get me to my goals in the most comfortable way. So, for instance, I've figured out that for me, if I go high protein at the beginning of the day, and then I do carbs shortly after my workout, and some carbs slightly before my workout, and then when it starts getting close to dinner, I go more towards proteins and fats. It helps satiate me. I personally stop eating at 7, and then I have a peptide CJC ipamorelin that I take around 10, which is a growth hormone. It makes your pituitary gland release a little bit more growth hormone. It's just amino acids. That's all it is, or aminos, a chain of aminos that helps you to trigger a natural function in your body. It's not a GLP-1. And then the next morning, I wake up, I do a fasted walk, get my coffee, and then I probably break my fast right around 11 o'clock. But I don't, intermittent fasting isn't required, none of that. It's really just all about thermodynamics, your calories in, your calories out. Anyways, hopefully you guys found this video entertaining. Have a good day.